You were told to want it more, to hunger for it, to grind for it, to chase it down. So you chased, and the harder you reached, the further it drifted. Here is what no one tells you. The world does not bend to the desperate. It bends to the composed. Look closely at the people who quietly end up with everything: the wealth, the influence, the unshakable calm. And you will find they are almost never the ones straining hardest for it. They learned something the Stoics taught 2,000 years ago, that the outer life is won or lost in the inner one, that success is not seized by force but drawn toward the person who has mastered himself. What follows are 10 rules for becoming that person. Not 10 tricks, 10 disciplines, the same ones emperors, exiles, and slaves used to build lives that fortune could not shake. Stay to the end, because the final rule is the one that holds all the others together. 1. The citadel you already own. Picture the war room of your own life, the markets you cannot control, the bosses, the algorithms, the rivals, the rent, the thousand forces that move with no regard for what you want. You have spent years trying to conquer that outer territory, to seize more of it, hold more of it, bend it to your will. And it has cost you sleep, peace, and the better part of your nerve. Here is the truth that turns everything. There is only one country you will ever truly govern, and it is not out there. It is the narrow kingdom behind your eyes, your attention, your judgment, the meaning you assign to each thing that happens. Lose that, and you can own the world and still be a beggar inside it. Hold it, and you can lose almost everything and remain a king. Marcus Aurelius understood this from the strangest of vantage points. He was the most powerful man alive, ruler of an empire that touched 3 continents, and he learned that none of it could give him what he could give himself. So he built, in his private writings, what we now call the inner citadel, a fortress at the center of the self. Plague could reach the borders of Rome, betrayal could reach his own table, grief could reach his children, but the citadel, he saw, could not be stormed by anything external. No one takes your assent without your consent. Disturb the mind and the disturbance is yours, authored from within. The walls are made not of stone but of judgment, and judgment is the one thing entirely in your hands. So begin there, before you chase the promotion, the deal, the number in the account. Ask whether you can govern the next 60 seconds of your own mind. When the email lands that makes your stomach drop, watch what happens. The event is neutral, a few words on a screen, and then your judgment rushes in and calls it catastrophe. That rush is the breach in the wall. Hold the line. Name the thing plainly. This is a problem I can work. And refuse to let panic write the story for you. The composed operator who can do this reads the same crisis the desperate one does and acts from clarity while the other flails. Same facts, different sovereign. This is not detachment from the world. It is command of the only post from which the world can be met well. Wealth, work, ambition. Every outer victory is downstream of an inner one, because every action you take is shaped by the mind that takes it. Master attention and judgment first, and the outer kingdom stops being a battlefield you must win and becomes simply terrain you can move through, unhurried, unbroken. Rule the inner world first. Everything you are reaching for is built on that ground, or built on nothing. 2. Want it without needing it. Picture the man at the table who already has enough. Not rich necessarily, settled. He wants the deal, the raise, the win, and he wants them fully. But watch his hands. They do not shake. He can name the thing he desires and in the same breath, name the version of his life where it never arrives, and find both livable. That is the posture the world rewards, not indifference, not the cold denial of wanting, something rarer, desire that has stopped begging. The grasping man and the composed man can want the exact same thing with the exact same heat. The difference is what happens underneath. The grasper has fused his worth to the outcome. Lose it, and he loses himself, so every move is contaminated by the fear of that loss. The composed man wants it the way you want good weather, genuinely, but from a self that remains intact whether or not it comes. He pursues hard, he holds loosely, and because nothing in him is hostage to the result, he sees the situation clearly, moves cleanly, and walks away when the terms turn rotten. Desperation cannot do any of those things. The Stoics built a whole architecture for this, and it is the hinge of everything. They divided the world into what is up to you, your judgments, your effort, your character, and what is not, outcomes, other people, fortune, wealth, status, success. These they called preferred indifference. Preferred because only a fool pretends he would not rather have them. Indifferent because they cannot touch the one thing that is actually you. Seneca was among the richest men in Rome and said the wise man does not love wealth but will take it. He houses it, he does not worship it. You may pursue the fortune. You must never hand it the keys to your soul. The moment a thing can destroy you by leaving, it already owns you, and an owned man negotiates from his knees. So make this concrete. Before the meeting that could change your year, name your walkaway number, the point past which no offer is worth your peace, and mean it. Hold it quietly. You will negotiate differently when losing the deal is survivable, because the other side can smell which of you needs this more, and need is the only real leverage you ever surrender for free. The one who can stand up and leave is the one the table bends toward. This is the paradox you were never told. Wanting something less desperately is what lets you pursue it more relentlessly, for longer, with a steadier hand. The grasper burns out chasing a thing that flees him. The composed man outlasts, outthinks, and outwaits, because his fuel was never fear. Want it with your whole chest, need it with none of your soul. The prize moves toward the one who could let it go. 3. The line you were never taught to draw. Picture the man at his desk at 2 in the morning, refreshing a screen that will not change. The decision was made hours ago in a room he was not in, by people whose minds he cannot reach. And still he sits, pouring himself out toward a result that is already hardened into stone. This is how most people spend their lives, bleeding energy into the one place it can never land. There is a line running through everything you touch, and almost no one is taught to see it. On one side, your judgments, your effort, the next action your own hand can take. On the other, outcomes, other people, the market, the verdict, the weather of luck. Epictetus, born a slave and lamed for life, drew that line with brutal clarity. Some things are up to us, he said, and some things are not. Freedom, real freedom, the kind no master can revoke, begins the moment you stop demanding that the second list obey you. Understand what he is actually saying. It is not surrender. It is precision. You have a finite reserve of power in a single day, finite attention, finite nerve, finite will. Spend it on what you control, and it compounds. Spend it on what you do not, and it evaporates, and you call the exhaustion that follows trying hard. You were not weak. You were aiming your strength at a wall. The desperate man cannot tell the difference. He grips the outcome as though squeezing harder might bend it, and the grip itself is what unsteadies his hand. The composed man does the opposite. He asks one cold question of everything that demands his energy. Is this mine to move? If yes, he moves with his whole weight. If no, he sets it down, not with despair, but with the ease of a man putting down a stone that was never his to carry. Make it concrete. You send the proposal, the application, the pitch. Your work is the words on the page, the hours of preparation, the steadiness in the room. Their decision is not your work, so you do not refresh the inbox 40 times. You do not rehearse the rejection. You do not let one silent reply poison the next thing your hands could be building. You did your part with full force, and you released the part that was never yours. That release is not weakness. It is where your strength is kept for tomorrow. Watch what happens when you live this way. The frantic energy drains out of your ambition, and something heavier takes its place. A man who works hard and waits calm, who cannot be unmade by a verdict because he never staked his peace on it. The world feels that. It always bends toward the one who is not begging. So draw the line and guard it like your life depends on it, because your power does. Spend it only where it lands. 4. Attention is the only currency you cannot print. Watch yourself for one honest hour. The phone buzzes and your head turns. A notification glows and your thought breaks mid-sentence. You open a tab to do one thing and surface 20 minutes later, somewhere else entirely, unsure how you arrived. You call this being busy. It is closer to being robbed. Every glance you give away is a coin spent, and at the end of the day you wonder why the vault is empty, though you never stopped working. Here is the thing no one names. Attention is the only currency you cannot print more of. Time you can sometimes buy back. Money you can earn again. But the hours of your one life poured out in fragments are gone the instant they leave you. The scattered mind builds nothing. It lays a brick, then wanders off, then lays another in a different field, and at dusk there is no house, only 1,000 beginnings rotting in the rain. The concentrated mind does the opposite. It returns to the same stone day after day until the wall rises. Focus is not a virtue for the diligent. It is the mechanism by which anything at all compounds. Seneca saw this clearly in a Rome as distracted as any feed you scroll. He wrote of the man who is everywhere and therefore nowhere, forever traveling, forever occupied, forever in motion, and yet possessing no life of his own, because a life lived in scattered pieces is not lived. He warned that we guard our property fiercely, our coin, our land, and surrender our hours to anyone who asks, as if time were the one thing it cost nothing to lose. The truth is the reverse. It is the only thing whose loss can never be repaired. So treat your attention like the rare thing it is. When you sit to do the work that matters, the work that builds, that compounds, that no one else can do for you, close the doors, all of them. Put the glowing rectangle in another room. Refuse the small, urgent nothings that masquerade as progress. Give 90 unbroken minutes to one thing, and you will outproduce the man who gave it 12 scattered hours, because he never gave it himself. He gave it only his leftovers, the thin residue of a mind already spent on everything else. This is not about doing more. It is about being present to the few things worth doing and letting the rest fall away unmourned. The desperate man chases every signal at once and ends the day exhausted, poor, and behind. The composed man chooses. He spends his attention the way a careful man spends his last gold, deliberately, on what lasts. Guard the hours. They are the only wealth that once gone, no fortune can buy back. 5. The slow fire. Let discipline compound in silence. No one is watching you now. The room is dark, the world asleep, and there is no applause for the work you do at this hour. Only you, and the small thing you have promised to do again. This is the moment most people quit, because nothing answers back. The page stays blank a little longer. The numbers do not move. The body does not change overnight. And so they conclude wrongly that the work is not working. But here is the secret the loud ones never learn. Mastery is not built in the spectacle. It is built in the silence, one unwitnessed repetition at a time. You were sold the burst, the all-nighter, the heroic sprint, the dramatic transformation that fits inside a single weekend. But intensity is theater. It performs effort instead of producing it, and it burns out the moment the audience leaves. Consistency is something else entirely. It asks almost nothing of you on any given day, and everything of you across 1,000 of them. The man who reads 10 pages each night outreads the man who swears he will read 100 and never opens the book. Quiet always beats loud because quiet shows up tomorrow. Consider Cleanthes. By day he carried water and ground grain for hire, a laborer's hands, a laborer's wage. By night he sat at the feet of Zeno and studied the whole of Stoic philosophy, paying for his learning with the coins he earned hauling water in the dark. His rivals mocked him as the donkey, the slow one. He took the insult as praise. Only a donkey, he said, could carry the load Zeno laid upon him, and he carried it for 19 years. When Zeno died, it was this water carrier, not the brilliant, not the celebrated, who inherited the school and led the Stoa. Greatness, built in obscurity, in hours no one ever saw, so apply it where it costs you. Stop chasing the windfall, the viral break, the single deal that fixes everything. Choose instead one disciplined act you can repeat when no one is looking. The same hours saved each month, the same skill sharpened each evening, the same hour given to the craft before the world wakes. Make it small enough that you cannot fail, and then refuse to break the chain. Let it compound. Wealth and mastery are not lightning. They are interest, accruing in the dark on a principle of unglamorous days. The desperate man needs the work to pay him today, and so he abandons everything that pays slowly. The sovereign man plants in silence and lets time do the work that frenzy never could. He is not in a hurry because he understands what hurry forgets, that the quiet rep you make tonight, unseen and unrewarded, is the only thing that has ever built anything that lasts. Be the slow fire. It is the one that does not go out. 6. Make time your ally, not your master. You check the number again. The follower count, the bank balance, the unanswered message. You check it the way a man checks a wound, hoping it has closed since the last glance. It has not. And so you feel the old pressure rising, faster, sooner, now. You want the harvest before you have finished sowing. This is the tell of the desperate. They treat time as an enemy to be outrun, a thief picking their pocket while they sleep. So they optimize for the immediate, the quick win, the visible move, the thing that pays today. And in doing so, they mortgage everything that would have paid for decades. Seneca saw this clearly 2,000 years ago, and his verdict still cuts. In On the Shortness of Life, He overturns the complaint that haunts every ambitious person. It is not that we have been given too little time, he says. It is that we waste so much of what we are given. Life is long enough, and a generous portion has been granted for the highest achievements, if it were all well invested. But we squander it. We spend it on anxiety we manufacture, on hurry that produces nothing, on the frantic protection of things that do not last. The desperate man is the busiest man alive and the poorest in actual hours, because he never possesses a single one of them. He is always somewhere ahead of himself, leaning into a future that never arrives. The composed person does the opposite. He treats time not as a thief, but as an ally, slow, patient, and absolutely loyal to whoever uses it deliberately. He knows that patience compounds, that small disciplines repeated past the point of boredom become a force nothing impulsive can match. He plants what will take years to bear and does not dig it up each morning to check the roots. Here is the concrete shape of it. Two people invest the same modest sum. One watches the screen daily, churning, chasing the trade that doubles overnight, paying fees and fear with every move, and bleeds out slowly. The other buys quietly, automates it, and looks away for 10 years. The second person is not smarter. He is calmer. He let time do the work that no amount of urgency could force. The market, like everything worth having, does not reward the man who demands it now. It rewards the man who can wait. So stop trying to outrun the clock. You will lose that race, everyone does. Instead, enlist it. Choose the work that pays in years, not in minutes, and then have the nerve to be patient with it. Time is not running out on you. You are running out on time. Squandering the one resource that used well makes you unhurried, formidable, and free. Slow is not behind. Slow is sovereign. 7. Command your emotions or they command your money. Watch a man check his portfolio in a falling market. His jaw tightens. His thumb hovers, then strikes. Sell, sell, get out. And by the time the dust settles, he has locked in the loss the patient man simply waded through. He did not lose to the market. He lost to himself. The downturn was temporary. His panic was permanent. This is the quiet truth behind almost every ruined fortune and squandered chance. It was not the world that took it. It was a feeling indulged at exactly the wrong moment. Seneca called anger a brief madness, and he meant it literally. The angry man, he wrote, wears the same face as the insane. Flushed, trembling, blind to consequence, willing to burn the house down to punish a single spider. And anger is only the loudest of these intruders. Fear sells at the bottom. Euphoria buys at the top. Resentment torches the partnership that would have made you rich. Each emotion, in its hour, feels like clarity. It feels like the truth arriving at last. It is the opposite. It is a fog that mistakes itself for light, and the decisions made inside it are paid for long after the fog is lifted. Understand what the Stoics were not after. They did not want you numb. A statue feels nothing and decides nothing well. It merely sits. Seneca, Marcus, Epictetus, none of them preached the death of feeling. They preached steadiness, the capacity to feel the surge of fury or greed or terror, and to keep your hand still while it passes through you. The wave comes, you let it come. You do not act on its crest. You act after when the water is flat again and you can see the bottom. That gap between the feeling and the deed is where your whole financial life is decided. Here is the discipline, made concrete. Make no money decision while the emotion is hot. None. When the offer enrages you, when the chart terrifies you, when the wind has you drunk and certain, wait. Build the rule into your life. A price drops. You do nothing for a day. A deal inflames you. You sleep before you answer. A windfall lands. You let it sit untouched for a week before you touch it. The interval costs you nothing and saves you everything. The desperate and the furious move now. The sovereign moves next, having let the madness drain away first. Your money does not obey your effort. It obeys your composure. Every fortune is a long sequence of decisions, and a single one made in anger or panic can erase a decade of patience. So the work is not to feel less. It is to rule what you feel, to be the one who watches the wave and stays dry. Master the storm inside you, or it will spend your fortune for you. 8. Move toward the hard thing on purpose. Picture the man who has never gone without. He keeps his comfort like a fragile thing behind glass, and every day he arranges his life to protect it. The warm room, the easy meal, the path of least resistance walked again and again until it becomes the only path he knows how to walk. He is not strong, he is merely untested, and the untested do not know it. which is the most dangerous thing of all. For comfort, when it is never broken on purpose, becomes a debt, and life always collects. Here is the inversion no one teaches you. The hard thing is not your enemy. The hard thing is your instructor, and you can either wait for it to arrive uninvited on its own brutal schedule when you are least prepared, or you can walk toward it deliberately on a day of your choosing while you are still steady enough to learn the lesson it carries. This was the discipline of Musonius Rufus, who taught that virtue is not a thing you understand, but a thing you practice, like a craft, until it lives in the body. He sent his students to endure cold, hunger, rough ground, and plain dress, not as punishment, but as rehearsal. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, did the same in reverse. He set aside days to eat the coarsest food and wear the meanest cloak, then asked himself, "Is this the condition I so feared?" He practiced poverty so that poverty could never threaten him. He befriended the worst case before it came, so that when fortune turned, and for him it did, he met it as something already familiar, already disarmed. Understand what they were doing. They were not chasing suffering. They were removing its power to ambush them. The man who has chosen hunger does not panic at the empty plate. The man who has slept on the floor does not fear losing the bed. You cannot be held hostage by what you have already volunteered to lose. So make the application plain. Take the cold shower you flinch from. Sit one day a week with less than you can afford. Skip the spending. Skip the comfort. Taste the lean version of your own life. Have the conversation you keep avoiding. Send the email that might be rejected. Each small, chosen hardship is a deposit into a reserve you will one day need when the market turns, when the deal collapses, when the salary vanishes overnight. The composed are not born calm. They are calm because they have already practiced the loss. And the man who trains in scarcity on purpose can never be ruined by it, only inconvenienced. Growth does not live in the warm room. It lives precisely where comfort cannot follow you. So go there first, willingly, while the choice is still yours. Choose the hard thing today, and nothing harder can choose you tomorrow. 9. Stop auditioning for the crowd. Picture the man who checks his reflection in every passing window, not to see himself, but to guess how others see him. He rehearses his opinions before he speaks them. He measures his choices by the applause they might earn. He is always on a stage, always performing, and he has forgotten there is anyone backstage at all. That man is exhausted, and he does not know why. The crowd is exhausting him. You were taught that approval is oxygen, that to be liked is to be safe, and to be admired is to have arrived. So you learned to scan the room. You softened the truth to keep the peace. You took the smaller seat, the safer opinion, the path that drew the warmest nods. And in exchange for all that pleasing, you handed strangers the deed to your own mind. The need for approval is a leash, and the cruelest part is this: you hold the other end and call it freedom. Cato the Younger would not be moved by a room. He walked through a Rome drunk on flattery and bribery, and held a line no applause could buy and no scorn could break. Men mocked his plain cloak and his stubborn honesty. He wore both like armor. He understood what the herd never will, that a reputation is something other people invent about you, and you cannot live inside a thing you do not control. Marcus Aurelius, alone with his journal, kept reminding himself of the same hard fact. Those whose praise you crave will be forgotten, and so will you, and so will the praise itself. He asked himself why he should trade his own judgment for the opinion of people he did not even respect. So stop auditioning. The role was never worth the wage. Here's where it bites in your real life. You are sitting on a decision to leave the job, to raise your price, to ship the work you actually believe in, and you are stalling, not because it is wrong, but because someone might disapprove. Watch that flinch. That is the leash pulling. Make the next move you've been delaying, and make it without first polishing the explanation you'd give to people who were never going to pay your rent. Send the email. Name your number. Let the disappointment of strangers be their problem, not your prison. The energy you used to spend managing how you look becomes, almost overnight, the energy you spend building what is real. A man who needs the crowd will always be ruled by it. He bends his work, his price, his spine to keep the cheering going, and the moment it stops, he is hollow. But the one who has stopped performing has something the crowd can never give and can never take: a center. Let them talk. Their applause is weather. Your purpose is climate. You don't owe the audience a performance. You owe yourself a life. 10. Become it before you have it. Picture the man you would become if the thing you wanted were already yours. Watch how he stands. He does not flinch at small losses. He does not check again whether the world approves. He moves through the room as if the outcome were already settled, because in some quiet way, it is. Now look back at yourself, still waiting for permission, still rehearsing a life you have not let yourself live. Here is the turn most people never make. You do not earn the identity after the result arrives. You wear it first, and the result comes to meet the man already wearing it. This is not pretense. It is the oldest engine in Stoic thought. Marcus Aurelius, writing to no one but himself in the cold camp at the edge of the empire, kept returning to a single severe idea, that the soul takes the color of its repeated thoughts, that what you do again and again is, in the end, what you are. There is no hidden self beneath the actions. The actions are the self. Character is not a thing you possess. It is a thing you practice into being day after unremarkable day, until it hardens like cooling iron into something the world calls destiny. The Stoics held up the sage, the perfect, fully composed human being, and admitted almost no one ever reached him. That was never the point. The sage was a North Star, not a destination. You do not arrive there. You walk toward him, and the walking itself changes your gait, your voice, the weight of your decisions. You ask in the ordinary moment, what would the composed version of me do right now? And then you do that before you feel ready, before the proof has come in. So here is the application. Stop waiting to feel like the kind of person who handles money well, who is calm under pressure, who is trusted with more. Begin acting as that person today in the small things. The way you answer the difficult email, the way you sit with a number that frightens you and do not panic, the way you keep your word when no one is watching the ledger. Do it once, and it is performance. Do it for a year, and it is who you are, and the opportunities that were always reserved for that person begin, quietly, to find you. The market, the room, the work. They reward consistency of self long before they reward talent. You become it by acting it, and then one day you look down, and the costume has grown into skin. The result you chased was never the seed. It was the harvest. The seed was the steady, repeated self you planted in the dark. You do not wait to become him. You walk as him until the world catches up. Be sovereign. So here is the final truth, the one the others orbit around. Success is not a thing you seize. It is a shadow. And a shadow falls only where something solid stands in the light. The solid thing is you. A mind that does not flinch, does not grasp, does not beg the world for proof of its own worth. Build that, and the shadow lengthens behind you on its own. Chase the shadow itself, and you will spend your life lunging at a shape that moves every time you do. This is why the calm inherit what the desperate chase. The desperate are loud, and the world has learned to distrust noise. They negotiate from need, and need is a discount applied to everything they touch. But the composed person carries a quiet that reads as certainty, and certainty is the rarest currency there is. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the known world and could have commanded anything, reminded himself instead that the only thing truly his was the citadel of his own mind, and that no one could storm it unless he opened the gate. He kept the gate shut, and the empire followed a man who needed nothing from it. Remember how this began. You were told to want it more, to hunger and grind and chase it down, and the harder you reached, the further it drifted. Now you know the reason. The world does not bend to the desperate, it bends to the composed. Not because calm is a trick that summons wealth, but because calm is the soil in which clear judgment, patience, and right action actually grow. Desire still, but desire with peace, not desperation. Want the thing without becoming the wanting. Before you go, take one solid step toward that citadel. I've left a free Stoic field guide in the description below. The core practices, distilled so you can begin building this discipline tonight rather than someday. Take it, use it, and if these words struck something true in you, subscribe and stay. We are quietly assembling a circle of people who refuse to be ruled by their own appetites, who would rather master themselves than chase the world. There is room for you here. The work is simple to name and a lifetime to live. Stop hunting the shadow and stand fully in the light. The success was never the point. The sovereign mind that casts it always was. Until next time, be sovereign.